To chime in on that excellent editorial, I've been really taking the hard stance with both Democrats and Republicans for not letting this thing get done or figuring it out. We've talked to everybody from State Senator Kim Moore to State Senator Jay Costa. I've talked to State Representative Josh Kale. Anybody who would come on this show to talk about it, I have. Even former State Representative Jim Christiana, who said his first basically term in office, they kind of went through the same thing. So if you were listening to me a couple of days ago, I said, I came to the conclusion, which is even more frustrating, this has become business as usual. I mean, look at the government shutdown. No end in sight. Subsidies disappearing, and as you heard in that editorial, school districts are suffering. You've got amazing people working in places like high-pressure jobs, such as being an air traffic controller, not getting a paycheck. So how do I tie all this in? Well, I'm going to tell you right now. There's something happening in Bloomfield right now, the Columbus Day Parade. It's Italian Heritage Month. And no matter what your heritage is, you have ancestors, people who came before you, whether they were born in this country or came to this country through Ellis Island many, many, many decades ago. One thing that they had that I think many of us do not have, including my generation, and I'm guilty of this at times, and I don't think there's anybody who works harder than I do or has ever worked as hard as I do. If anything will ever be said about me long after I'm here, the first thing that people will talk about, he was one of the hardest workers ever. That was taught to me by my father, obviously the stories of my grandparents. But when you think about what they had and how they came here with nothing and built the streets that we still walk on today, the homes that many of us live in. My home is over 100 years old, built in 1918. It's now 2025. Go figure, right? One of the very first things I thought of when I went into this house that I rented for a decade before I finally bought it, there was a little shower stall in the basement. And I thought to myself, the people that built this house, somebody who was out working, as it was back then, the man and the woman in the house working harder than everyone, he would come home, probably get a shower after doing the manual labor job that he did. I'm not sure if they had an accent, if they were born here or they came to this country from a foreign land, but they worked, backbreaking work. They didn't ask for anything. They just wanted an opportunity to work. We went through the pandemic years ago, 2020, in February. People were running out of money within a month. Those immigrants had their own gardens. They basically grew their own food. They took care of their home. They eventually burnt that mortgage, educated their children to where many of the jobs that we look towards today as, upper echelon, meaning jobs that were not like, blue collar, but white collar, people that are doctors, dentists, lawyers, teachers, well, because of the sweat equity of all those people. Calluses on their hands. No matter how hard they scrubbed their hands, they couldn't remove the dirt. They were working class people that became the middle class that kept this country upright and helped us get through 2 world wars, obviously different times in the way of financial distress, like the Great Depression, when there was nothing but bread lines and free cheese for everyone. Nobody was getting free medical care. Nobody was doing anything, but all they wanted was a chance to work. And people were taking jobs for pennies on the dollar to work. And many of the men went off to war, so the women were back here doing everything in the house, outside the house. God bless each and every one of them. Kept this country upright.